Unlike some, we don't threaten to dismember our country to score cheap political points. In Victoria, we believe in a strong, free, and united Canada. Governing this remarkable country is hard and requires common ground, common sense, and common adherence to some basic truths. Truths aren't always easy to accept, but that's the point. They are true regardless of how we may feel about them, and our success or failure hinges on whether we can come to terms with them. As some of my honorable colleagues opposite have been fond of saying in the past, facts don't care about your feelings. Fact. Canada is one of the oldest and most successful constitutional democracies in the world, Mr. Speaker. Our tradition of parliamentary government reaches back well before Confederation, evolving through generations of change, struggle, and hard-won progress. I am deeply honored to carry that legacy forward. But before there was a parliament, before there was a Canada, this land was home to vibrant and self-governing Indigenous nations. Their cultures, languages, and legal systems shaped these territories for millennia before the expansion of colonialism brought profound harms that continue to shape the lives of Indigenous peoples to this day. Our shared history includes settlement, immigration, trade, conflict, and transformation. It has made Canada a diverse and peaceful country, one admired around the world. But that story is incomplete if we fail to acknowledge that the prosperity many of us enjoy was built unevenly, and too often at the expense of others. Mr. Speaker, I am grateful for the stewardship of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples on whose traditional territories Victoria is built and where my family is so fortunate to reside. Ours is a country where pride in our past must walk hand in hand with the courage to face its shadows, so we may build a future worthy of all who call this land home today. Cela inclut l'accord fondateur en...
That includes the English-French Accord at the very basis of Confederation, and which distinguishes us in the world. Bilingualism and multiculturalism are very important in Canada. I'm proud to be the son of a Canadian mother and a Dominican father. I am the grandson of an Anglo-Canadian grandfather and a French-Canadian grandmother. I am the fruit of the history and story of many different peoples.
Professor who has lived and worked across Canada and around the world, I have seen how fortunate we are and understand the work it takes to build a just society and maintain a robust democracy. We are bound to our past, not defined by its mistakes, but guided by its lessons, resilience, progress, and a deep well of national purpose. So, Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. Canada will never be another country's 51st state. We are not a footnote in anyone else's story. We are a sovereign nation with a voice, a vision, and a vital role to play in the world. And we are stronger than those within our borders who would seek to divide us for their own political gain. They have tried before and failed. Mr. Speaker, they may try again, but they will fail again, because Canadians are rightly proud of what we have built and clear-eyed about what we must still do together. Mr. Speaker, one of the things we must do together is combat climate change. Climate change is not a debate. It is a fact, undeniable, unrelenting, and already shaping the lives of Canadians from coast to coast to coast. In my riding of Victoria, we don't have the luxury of denial. As a coastal island community, we are surrounded by the evidence. Rising sea levels, intensifying storms, smoke-choked skies, and...
I apologize. I apologize greatly for interrupting the member's speech. It being 2 o'clock, the member will be able to continue his speech. He'll have about 3 minutes left after question period. Statement by members, déclaration de député. The honourable member for Mississauga Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
For the first time, deeply honored by the trust the people of Mississauga Centre.
Empty house today.
I thank my family, friends, team, volunteers, and dear constituents I also want to acknowledge the Honourable Omar Al-Gabra for serving our beautiful riding for over 19 years, whether as MP or community member. I pledge to serve Mississauga Centre with purpose and humility, knowing we must never lose sight of those among us who struggle. Si un Canadien est en besoin,
If one Canadian is
fly
in need,
flying
we're
around in
all
the
in
back.
need.
Palestinian Canadian elected to this House since Pierre Desbanais, I understand the weight of the responsibility I hold and want to remind every member to put humanity above politics always and in any context. As Canadians, we know that solutions can only begin when we come together with the courage to name injustice for what it is, unacceptable, undeniable, and unequivocal. I take pride in elevating the voices of marginalized communities, the oppressed, and others whose stories deserve to be heard, as well as youth across the country. Thank you, Mississauga Centre, for that privilege. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Okanagan Lake West.
Mr. Speaker, as this is my first statement in our new Parliament, I'd like to take a moment to sincerely thank all the good people of Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna for their support in this past election. While on the topic of the many good people from my riding, I would like to recognize many of my local mayors, members of City Council, regional directors who are in Ottawa for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Convention. I know from my own time as a city councillor how challenging and demanding local government can be. This is especially true right now in British Columbia, where we face intertwined crises of crime, homelessness, and opioids that severely impact local government, whose citizens ultimately bear the burden of ill-conceived provincial and federal policies. I've greatly enjoyed my working relationships with the mayors, councillors, and regional directors from places like Summerland, Peachland, Greater West Side, West Kelowna, and Kelowna. I look forward to continuing our work together on behalf of our constituents, and I would ask that we would make all of them feel most welcome here in Ottawa. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Winnipeg West.
Mr. Speaker, it is a privilege to rise in the House today and highlight the remarkable contributions of Dr. Joss Reimer. Dr. Reimer is a force in Canadian medicine, a trailblazer, a change maker, and a proud Manitoban. Before stepping into her current role as president of the Canadian Medical Association, Dr. Reimer served as the medical lead and official spokesperson for Manitoba's provincial COVID-19 vaccine task force, where she played a pivotal role in guiding our province through the largest and most successful vaccine campaign in provincial history. Dr. Reimer also served as the medical director of public health for Winnipeg, where she focused on critical areas such as drug-related harms, infectious diseases, sexually transmitted infections, and health equity. Now that her term as president of the Canadian Medical Association comes to an end, we thank her for the lives she's changed. Dr. Reimer, Manitoba is proud of you.
The honourable member for Vernon Lake Country, Monashee.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize two outstanding athletes from my riding of Vernon Lake Country, Monashee, the Hladek brothers. Not only have Ben and Bradley Hladek made remarkable strides in Canadian football, they are brothers united by blood and bound by a shared commitment to excellence both on and off the field. Ben is an outstanding linebacker with the BC Lions, drafted in 2021 following an exceptional career at the University of British Columbia. His younger brother Bradley, a versatile fullback and long snapper, was recently drafted by the Edmonton Elks. From Vernon minor football to the VSS Panthers, both brothers have embodied the values of hard work, integrity, and community pride. Their journey is a testament to their family, their coaches, and the vibrant football culture of the Okanagan. On Saturday, June 7th, they will face off for the first time in the CFL at BC Place. Congratulations to the Hladek brothers. Vernon is proud.
Well done.
The honourable member for Alfred Pellant. Mr. Speaker, congratulations on your election to this well-deserved new position. For my first statement in the House of this 45th Parliament, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the citizens of Alfred Pellant who have placed their trust in me for a fourth term. Their loyalty and trust touch me deeply. They fill me with humility, pride, and a heightened sense of duty. Every day I am inspired by their commitment. It's for the families, the young people, the seniors, organizations, and businesses in Alfred Pellant that I continue my work with determination, heart, and respect. Both the young and the old have rolled up their sleeves and spared no effort to ensure that we maintain a strong, united Canada and one that reflects who we are. Alfred Pelon is a close-knit family, and I'm honored to represent them here in the House.
Langley Township, Fraser Heights.
What was meant as a celebration of culture and heritage turned into a moment of unspeakable sorrow. On April 26th, the Lapu Lapu Day Festival in Vancouver, a symbol of Filipino unity and pride, was shattered by an act of senseless violence. Many lives taken, many more injured, families torn apart, dreams cut short, and the community left grieving. But in the face of all this darkness, we see the Filipino community being strong and resilient, coming together, grieving together, sharing with each other. And today we stand in solidarity. The Filipino community, we see you, we mourn with you, we stand with you. We know that you will continue to celebrate the richness of your culture and your traditions and your history, as you should. Thank you for bringing the best of the Philippines to Canada and making them part of our Canadian cultural fabric. Together we are Canada, true north, strong and free. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Pickering, Brooklyn.
Profound gratitude and humility that I rise today as the first member of Parliament for the new riding Pickering, Brooklyn. A vibrant community that unites the entire city of Pickering, the northern part of Whitby, and the thriving heart of Brooklyn. To the people who place their trust in me, thank you. To the tireless volunteers who gave their time and heart, and to my family who stood beside me every step of the way, your support means everything. Ours is a riding with Canada's most populous region. We are nestled along the shores of Lake Ontario, and people from all over the world are choosing to call Pickering, Brooklyn home. With that growth comes unique challenges, from housing and infrastructure to protecting our environment and building inclusive communities. I proudly support the Liberal government's Build Canada Homes plan to ensure affordability and meet the unprecedented housing demand and opportunities of the next generation.
The honourable member for Portneuf-Jacques-Cartier. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A throne speech allows the government to set out its direction, its objectives, and specify how it intends to achieve them. When it comes to official languages, Francophones have every reason to be proud but very concerned. And this is a short text that outlines the Liberals' intentions. The government is committed to protecting the institutions that promote these cultures and this identity around the world, such as CBC Radio Canada. This government is thinking magically and imagines that CBC Radio Canada is the savior that will halt the decline of French. Yes, saving Radio Canada was our campaign promise, but there is much more to be done to stop the decline of French. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister has shown us once again that he does not understand French, and he does not recognize the importance of the different Francophone cultures that thrive in the 10 provinces and in our beautiful country of Canada. The honourable member for Rivière du Nord. Mr. Speaker, it was a brilliant idea to ask Joanne Regimbald to join the small bloc Québécois team on Parliament Hill. And so it was that the member for Montcalm, the former member for Repentigny, and I welcomed a woman of many talents who had unparalleled values and a strong sense of responsibility. Every party prides itself on having a rare gem on its team, but I'm sorry for the other parties, but this rare gem on the Hill is our Joanne. Of course, she left to go to the leader's office where her expertise was once again served the interests of all. But beyond her professionalism and efficiency, the first thing that comes to mind when we think of her is kindness. She took care of the entire team for 10 years, and we felt confident all the time. Thank you, Joanne, for everything you've done and given to the bloc, to each of us every day. Come back and see us soon, even though you're going to the Laurentians. Enjoy your retirement, my friend. Thank you, Madame Regimbald.
Harry Newton.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today with deep gratitude to the people of Surrey Newton for once again placing their trust in me. Being elected for a 6th term is a tremendous honor. and I remain fully committed to serving our community with dedication and integrity. I sincerely thank my family and friends for their constant support, my campaign team for their tireless efforts, and all volunteers and supporters who believed in me and our party's vision. I'm proud to stand with our Prime Minister and the Liberal government as we continue working to build a stronger, more resilient Canada. Together, we will keep moving Surrey Newton forward and ensure it remains a place of opportunity, growth, and hope for everyone.
The honourable member for Yellowhead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would first like to congratulate you for your recent promotion. I look forward to working with you as well as my colleagues in this coming Parliament. It is an honour today to rise for the first time on behalf of the constituents of the beautiful riding of Yellowhead, Alberta. I too would like to recognize some of my town and county councillors in Ottawa today. Considering this week's throne speech made no mention of Canadian oil and gas, no mention of Canadian pipelines, no mention of the necessity of getting Alberta's world-class energy to new markets, it's clear that this Liberal government is no different from the last. Canadians need a government that works for powerful paychecks, not a government that continues to support job-killing laws. When will this Liberal government repeal the No More Pipelines Bill C-69, the red tape, and finally give Canadian energy workers the respect and recognition they deserve?
The honourable member for Brampton South.
It's with a deep gratitude that I rise today to thank you, the residents of Brampton South, for once again placing their trust in me. I'm also deeply grateful to my family, volunteers, and supporters for working day in and day out during the campaign. At the doors in Brampton South, the message was loud and clear. Canadians are feeling the strain. While affordability remains our top priority, public safety is also a leading issue in my community. Mr. Speaker, public safety builds confidence in our institutions, which is why we must continue to take this issue seriously at all levels of government. I remain committed to working with all partners to ensure safety and prosperity for all Canadians. As we begin this new Parliament, I promise to continue working hard for Brampton South alongside our Prime Minister to tackle affordability, keep our communities safe, and build the strongest economy in G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Kitchener South, Pespiller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today on behalf of and grateful to the constituents of my hometown in Kitchener South Hespeler. Let me tell you something about the folks in Kitchener South Hespeler. They are honest, hard-working people who do not like a tax cheat. They remember how, back in 2016, Donald Trump shockingly refused to release his tax returns to the public. Thousands of news stories were written about it. Now, there is no law that leaders must disclose their tax returns, but the public expects that someone who seeks to lead a nation will go above and beyond the bare minimum legal requirements. Mr. Speaker, I'm sad to say we now face a similar situation in our country. This new Prime Minister refuses to give Canadians a public disclosure of his conflicts of interest. Even Justin Trudeau gave such a disclosure prior to becoming Liberal Party leader. Conservatives implore today the Prime Minister to look inside himself. Why is he taking another page out of Donald Trump's book? Why won't he disclose his conflicts? And does the answer have to do with offshore tax havens?
The honourable member for Clarefonds-Dollard.
Mr. Speaker.
It's National Accessibility Week. It's a time to recognize the achievements of persons with disabilities across our beautiful country.
More than 8 million Canadians currently live with a disability. Accessibility is essential to ensuring Canada's financial stability and future.
The government is focused on improving accessibility in key areas like infrastructure, employment, and financial security. Also, payments through the Canada Disability Benefit are beginning this July.
In 2019, our government introduced the Accessible Canada Act. And since then, we've made a lot of progress.
This year's theme for National Accessibility Week is Breaking Barriers Together, paving the way for an inclusive future. Together,
we can achieve our goal of a barrier-free Canada, by 2040. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Cambridge.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise for the first time to represent my Cambridge community. This week, the Liberal Prime Minister introduced his first spending bill. It's worse than Justin Trudeau's. He inherited a bloated Liberal government and promised to spend less. But this first spending bill, it spends 88% more than Trudeau did in his last year. It's a $500 billion spending spree with no budget. Single moms, seniors, and small businesses must budget before they spend. Why can't a supposedly brilliant banker, a man with a plan, do the same? And no, this isn't about investments. Consultants alone get a record break in $26.1 billion, costing every household in Canada $1,400. He promised to cap spending at 2% in his throne speech. The same afternoon, he introduced a bill boosting overall spending by 8%. Is this why the Prime Minister did not table a spring budget? To hide his broken promise to rein in his out-of-control spending?
Honourable member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, in my constituency of Davenport, we recently celebrated the 100th year anniversary of the Alexander G. Muir Building, currently the home to the Alexander Muir Gladstone Avenue Junior and Senior Public School, also fondly known as AMG. It is named after the Scottish-Canadian poet and educator Alexander Muir, who composed the lyrics to the Maple Leaf Forever, and who also served as the school's first principal. Educating generations of family members, AMG fosters a strong learning environment where all students are valued and respected. Evolving with the community and the times, AMG is a reflection of the dreams and aspirations of our nation, where education is the key to prosperity, and where no matter what your background or financial situation in Canada, you can achieve your potential. It was a true honor to join students, staff, and community members of AMG to celebrate this historic anniversary. Happy 100 years!
Oral questions, questions orales. The honourable member for Calgary, Midnapore.
And Picuzzi.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister said that he would be guided by a new fiscal discipline. He said that he would limit operational expenditures to no greater than an increase of 2%. Yet he's presented a bill of $500 billion to Canadians. Single mothers, seniors, small businesses all make a budget before they spend. You would think that a highly esteemed banker would know that and would do that. So is he really committed to a new fiscal discipline? Or is he just like the last guy?
L'honorable ministre des Finances et du Revenu National.
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to be back in the House, and it's a pleasure to deliver for Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We are delivering on our plans to make life more affordable in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The first measure we introduced was a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. There are Canadians in our riding that are going to benefit from the tax cut. We're eliminating GST on first-time home buyers for their new house, Mr. Speaker, and we are removing the consumer carbon price from law, Mr. Speaker. Together, we're going to build Canada strong, and I hope the Conservative will join us in that.
The honourable member for Calgary, Midnapore.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Liberals never learn and they never keep their promises. The Treasury Board President said in the last Parliament that she would find savings of $7.1 billion on high-paid consultants. Instead, this government is now spending another $6 billion on high-paid consultants. The Prime Minister said that he would limit increases in operational spending of no greater than 2%. Yet he's presented a $500 billion bill to Canadians. So who is the Prime Minister going to choose, Canadians or his friends?
Right.
L'honorable ministre des Finances et du Revenu National.
Mr. Speaker, it is very clear we have already chosen Canadians, and Canadians have chosen us, Mr. Speaker, to lead this nation, to build a more ambitious Canada, to build a strong Canada, to build the best economy in the G7. Together on this side of the House, we're going to build the Canada of the future, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Calgary, Midnapore.
Monsieur le Président, le Premier ministre.
Mr. Speaker,
The Prime Minister said that he would be guided by a new level of fiscal discipline. He promised to limit spending, and yet now he has brought in legislation that would include expenses of billions of dollars in additional spending despite its complete lack of budget. Even small businesses make a budget before moving forward. Why would a banker not do the same thing? Will he finally show a certain level of fiscal discipline, or is he going to be just like the Prime Minister before him, the Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue? Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for her question. As she has seen, we are presenting an ambitious plan for Canadians. And the very first measure we brought in was a middle-class tax cut that will affect 22 million people in her riding who will benefit. Then we said that we would be eliminating the GST for first buyers of new builds. That will enable us to have a resilient economy, a strong economy, the strongest one in the G7.
For Simcoe North.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is asking Parliament to approve almost $500 billion in spending, up 8% from last year. Nothing says spend less and invest more like spending more money on high-priced consultants and contractors. That's going up to $26 billion a year, over 35% increase. Wow. Is the kind of change this government trying to deliver to push civil servants out to bring their friends and high-priced consultants like McKinsey back in?
Oh, good question. Good question.
L'honorable ministre des Finances et du Revenu National. I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we're focusing on result. And you know what? The first measure that we have introduced in this Parliament is to help 22 million Canadians, Mr. Speaker. People in every riding. Canadians are watching at home and are wondering, are the Conservatives going to support them? Are they going to support this government? Because Canadians know that we have their back and we're going to fight for them at every step of the way. The Honourable Member for Nanaimo Ladysmith.
The Prime Minister said he wants to spend less and invest more, but this week his government tabled a $500 billion spending bill with no budget. While 15,000 people use loaves and fishes, the food bank in my riding, this government has increased spending on consultants by a jaw-dropping $6 billion, a massive increase of 36%. Consultants get a $26.1 billion gift that makes every household in Canada $1,400 poorer. Is the Prime Minister's reckless spending the real reason why there's no budget this spring?
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation, Public Works and Procurement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague for her question. I'm very proud to be part of this new government that's fighting for Canadians day one with a proposed bill that's going to make life more affordable for 22 million Canadians. That's an average of $840 per family in income tax reduction. This is giving real help to Canadians, and I'm very proud that we're delivering on day one. Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Speaker.
you're very proud that your friends at McKinsey just got a big pay raise.
I apologize to the member for Long Range Mountains. It's her turn.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister claims he's different from his predecessor, but the numbers tell a different story. In his own first spending bill, consultants get a record-setting $26.1 billion, up more than 36% in 1 year.
Terrible.
The government talks about restraint, but this is $500 billion of spending without a budget. Single moms, seniors, and small businesses must budget before they spend. How come a brilliant banker cannot do the same?
Good question.
The Honourable Minister for Government Transformation, Public Works and Procurement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the question a lot of Canadians are asking is how come Conservatives can't get behind the idea of supporting 22 million Canadians with a tax break that's going to make life more affordable for Canadians by eliminating GST on new homes, which is going to help new home buyers. Mr. Speaker, our plan is ambitious to grow this economy, to make life more affordable for Canadians, and I'm hoping Conservatives will see the light and rally behind this ambitious plan for Canada.
They said they've already made an amendment. They want a bigger tax break.
The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean.
Like,
Mr. Speaker, We are seeing some dangerous intentions for Quebecers in the throne speech. The Liberals talked about a single Canadian economy instead of 13, which means that they want to control the Quebec economy from Ottawa, which is why the National Assembly of Quebec immediately and unanimously rejected this idea. Quebec is and should always be in control of its economic future, its trade, and relevant legislation. So on Monday, when the Prime Minister meets with his provincial counterparts, will he commit to respecting Quebec jurisdiction?
L'honorable ministre des Transports.
The
Here we go,
Minister
Mr.
of
Speaker.
Transport. I'd like to thank my colleague for this important question.
Oh, thank God she's speaking in French.
I'd also like to thank the Quebec minister that I spoke with yesterday and who participated in a provincial federal meeting about internal trade. We have a constructive relationship, a fruitful relationship. The federal government has an excellent relationship with the provinces and territories, and we will always respect provincial and territorial jurisdiction. The Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, Canada is not a business, and Quebec is not a regional branch. The reason we don't have just one economy in Canada is that we don't have just one nation within Canada. We should never sacrifice Quebecers' interests in the name of a supposed Canadian unity. Francophone workplaces in Quebec is not a barrier to labor mobility, and ensuring that Quebecers can work in our forestry sector is not an obstacle to trade. Ultimately, the existence of the Quebec nation is not a trade barrier. Does the Prime Minister understand this? The Honourable Minister of Transport and Internal Trade. Yes. As the Prime Minister said this morning, our government respects and will always respect the importance of Quebec, the importance of the Quebec nation, the importance of the French language. These are key priorities for our government. We also understand the importance of economic growth. And for our government, a priority is to create the strongest economy in the G7. That will be good for Canadians and Quebecers. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, in the throne speech, the Liberals said once again that they want to have just one environmental assessment per project, which means that if an Alberta dirty oil pipeline is built and goes through Quebec, there would only be one assessment, which would be the federal assessment, ignoring Quebec and the provinces. But Quebec should be in control of its own territory. Quebecers and their institutions, like the Quebec Environmental Assessment Organization, they are the ones who should decide. Quebec's sovereignty on its own territory is non-negotiable. Will the government commit to respecting it?
Climate change.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to take this moment to say that I am so pleased that so many Quebec MPs are part of our government.
Nous avons 44.
In fact, there are 44, and they will be speaking up very clearly for the interests of Quebec and Quebecers. I will always work in favor of the interests of Quebec, and I will make sure that we hear their voice. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent Akia-Wenrock. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, during the throne speech, in his speech, the King was very clear. And this is something that shows what he felt about our previous Liberal government. He said that this government will be guided by a new level of fiscal discipline. And yet, very quickly, we see that in this new legislation that there will actually be an increase of $40 billion in spending, 8% more. It's hard to believe that these people could do worse than Justin Trudeau. How can this Prime Minister stand up and tell Canadians that he's actually going to do worse than Justin Trudeau? The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue.
So true.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague for Louis Saint Laurent knows that I respect him greatly. Yes, I'm sorry, I got the writing name wrong. But if he's talking about being able to stand up and look people in the eye, well, of course we can do that because there is a tax cut for 22 million Canadians. so the Prime Minister will be able to look people in the eye. And I hope my colleague will be able to do the same. He will be able to tell his constituents that he is voting for that tax cut and showing that he cares about Canadians. I would invite him to vote in favor. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent, Ikea Wenrock. Well, Mr. Speaker, the King was quite cutting when he said that we need a new approach to fiscal discipline. You'd think that this would be an opportunity to change how things are done. But on the contrary, this government is actually increasing the amount spent on consultants. I could never have thought that the Minister of Finance would actually do something that was worse than what Justin Trudeau did. Will he get up, look Canadians in the eye, and say that he will finally start being a responsible steward of the fiscal fiscal system, not like Justin Trudeau? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation, Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, you know which party Quebecers really were cutting towards. They cut the number of Conservative seats. After all, they didn't want a party whose plan was barely worth the paper it was printed on. Instead, they chose a plan to make the government more efficient, make the economy more resilient, and make life more affordable. And that's what we're doing with a tax cut for 22 million Canadians, $840 per family. I hope the member across the way will support that plan.
The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Your most important job is probably your first job because it starts you on the road to your career. But after 10 years of Liberal failures, that road is blocked for 1 in 7 Canadian young people. This is already an unemployment crisis with 100,000 more job losses coming. Now, rather than address this crisis, these Liberals continue to waste billions on consultants, a $6 billion increase. Why are they choosing a great job market for elite Liberal insiders and consultants and a terrible job market for Canadian young people?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, I share the member opposite's deep and profound concern to ensure that Canadian young people get opportunities across this country, especially in their first job. And that's why it's so exciting that Canada Summer Jobs will provide almost 70,000 jobs this summer. Great first-time jobs for young people all across the country. These are quality employers, quality jobs, and I look forward to hearing about them in my own riding.
Bravo.
The Honourable Member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Mr. Speaker, that minister has sat around the cabinet table for more than 10 years, and unemployment is steadily going up. It's actually at the highest point it's been in 10 years outside of the COVID period. We have an unemployment crisis, and Liberals are making things worse with another outrageous spending bill. This Prime Minister wants to spend even more than Justin Trudeau. So how can they ask Parliament for another $400 billion blank check with no budget, no plan for jobs, no plan to address the pain that their policies have caused?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we hear the member opposite talking out of both sides of his mouth. At one side, he's talking about the need to do something about unemployment, to do something about youth having excellent experiences in the workforce. And on the other side, he's talking about the need to reduce spending. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, we know that we can actually do big things together. That's what employers want across the country, Mr. Speaker. They want skilled workers all across this country in every sector. We'll be there with the provinces and territories to make sure we have the fastest growing economy in the G7.
The Honourable Member for Brandon Souris.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This week, the Prime Minister introduced his first spending bill, and despite promising to cap spending during the election, the bill increases spending by another 8% on an already bloated federal government. $500 billion in spending, introduced the same day as he promised again to cap it, all with no budget and on the backs of hardworking Canadians and at the expense of future generations. When will these Liberals finally cap spending and put the financial future of young Canadians first? Will the Prime Minister give us the date for a spring budget today?
The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue.
I'd like to welcome the member to the House of Commons. But one thing, Mr. Speaker, it's clear. We have the back of young Canadians. If the member was listening carefully, he would have seen that in the very first motion we introduced in this House was the elimination of the GST for first-time home buyers, Mr. Speaker, for their first house. This is a measure to help young Canadians to get into the real estate market, Mr. Speaker. The young Canadians who are watching us at home understand we have their back and we will always work for them, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Northumberland, Clark.
Mr. Speaker, on April 5th, 17th, 20th, 21st, and 29th, the Prime Minister committed to, and I quote, free trade in Canada by Canada Day. However, almost immediately after the election, the Prime Minister already broke his promise, saying instead they would only introduce legislation to eliminate federal interprovincial trade barriers by Canada Day. Simple question, why did the Prime Minister mislead Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Transport and Internal Trade.
Really delighted to get a question on internal trade from the Conservatives. We don't agree about a lot of things, but I think everyone in the Conservative Party and in the Liberal Party agrees that free trade in Canada will make us all richer. And that is why I have a question for my Conservative counterparts. Will the Conservatives vote for our free trade in Canada by Canada Day legislation? We're counting on you. Canadians are counting on you.
The honourable member for Mission, Matskwe, Abbotsford.
Mr. Speaker, small businesses are struggling with the complexity and obscurity of the customs notice. For a government program that was designed to help businesses, the CBSA is causing turmoil, time and money for many in manufacturing and its supply chains. On May 20th, the department quietly issued an updated notice on its interpretation of the scope, narrowing the order. Why, in this time of uncertainty, should businesses be left to navigate costly and consequential red tape from this government? Don't they understand that livelihoods and Canadian businesses are on the line?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague opposite for this question. He has brought this to my attention a couple of days ago, and we are looking into this situation, and I will look forward to responding to him in the next couple of days. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de
The Honourable Member for Berthier-Masquinongé. Mr. Speaker, even under their new leader, the Liberals are spending way too much. The Prime Minister promised that he would limit the increase in spending to 2% a year, but instead we're hearing that actually he's going to raise spending by 8% this year, and that's before the tax cuts and nearly $2 billion in new spending that he wants to pass this session. It's very disturbing to bring in these measures without even giving us a clear picture of the public finances. Will this Prime Minister table a budget instead of governing exactly like Justin Trudeau did? The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Mr. Speaker, I have a great deal of respect for my colleague for Berthier-Masquinongé, as he knows. But it's surprising to hear that the Bloc Québécois is against a measure that will help people in his own riding. We just tabled a motion in this House to cut taxes for 22 million Canadians. That could be up to $840 for a two-income household. This will be great for people in Berthier-Masquinongé, and people in that riding are expecting their MP to be there for them and to vote in favor of this measure. The Honourable Member for Berthier-Masquinongé. Mr. Speaker, people in Saint-Maurice-Champlain are expecting this member to table a budget. It's a little bit like this Prime Minister looked at the Trudeau spending and said, just watch me. In fact, we can only expect him to show up in this House wearing Adidas sneakers. This Prime Minister is showing that he simply intends to be the fourth edition of the same old Liberal government. Once again, he's trying to make people believe that they can keep spending while reducing taxes and somehow without increasing the debt. Well, let them then show us how they plan to do that. Let them table a budget. The Honourable Minister. Well, this gives me an opportunity to thank the voters in Saint-Maurice-Champlain who have sent me here for a fourth consecutive mandate, and I will fulfill my mandate with humility and conviction. And indeed, we will be proposing a budget in the fall very soon. It will be an ambitious yet prudent budget. which will enable us to build the Canada of tomorrow. That's exactly what Canadians expect from us, that we build a strong economy, the strongest in the G7. A resilient, strong Canada.
Member for Cloverdale, Langley City.
Mr. Speaker, I recently talked with a young fellow who said, unless my parents die and leave me this house, I will never own one. Now, that's a reality for many young Canadians. So imagine their shock when they hear that the new housing minister says that home prices don't need to come down. Under this former mayor of Vancouver, house prices shot up 179%, rent up 50%, homelessness up 40%. If he didn't fix it then, and doesn't see a problem now, how much more expensive does he plan to let things get?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, my thanks to the member opposite for the question. We are spending many days this week with mayors and councillors from across the country here for the Federation of Canadian Municipalities meeting here. And I would caution the members opposite to be insulting our local government officials who we are partnering with to deliver results on the ground. We will deliver a cut to the GST for first-time home buyers.
That's right.
We're going to see a $50,000 savings for first-time home buyers delivered by this new government.
Yeah, very good.
The Honourable Member for Aurora, Oak Ridges, Richmond Hill.
Mr. Speaker, the housing market in the GTA is descending into complete chaos. New data shows GTA home sales are the worst since the market crash of the 1990s, falling 89% below the 10-year average, and condo sales fell 94% below the 10-year average. Home prices are too high for buyers and too low for sellers. Sellers can't sell, buyers can't buy, builders aren't building. The report warns that there will be a massive housing shortage in just 2 years. Can the Prime Minister tell us why he refuses to present a budget immediately to provide much-needed help for both buyers and sellers?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The critical piece that we need to invest in is more affordable housing across Canada right now. And we are doing that by delivering a GST cut for new home buyers. We are doing that by reducing the costs of housing through development cost charges. We're working in partnership with local governments to deliver that. We have to be sure we build more affordable housing for young people and those most vulnerable across our country.
Honourable Member for York, Durham.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. New data out this week shows that home sales in the GTA are down 89% below their 10-year average. That's not a slowdown, Mr. Speaker. That is a market stall. What's the Prime Minister's response? A GST proposal that industry has dismissed, saying it will not improve affordability. So my question to the Prime Minister, what is his plan today, not in September, for buyers who can't buy, sellers who can't sell, and builders who can't build?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So we do have good news coming with the GST cut for first-time home buyers. We are seeing a stall in the market as people wait for that cut. We hope that the members opposite will support that cut.
That's right, they should.
We're also going to focus on building more housing on the affordable end of the spectrum. That's what the young people of Canada need. That's what we need to deliver in this House for the people of Canada.
Member for Ottawa.
Mr. Speaker, the price of the average home in my hometown of Oshawa has gone up 121% since 2015. According to Equifax, a record number of Ontarians are missing mortgage payments now, up 71.5% since early 2024. A TMU professor said, the first thing you make sure you do in life is pay your mortgage. But people aren't doing that because the whole system is so broken now. This Liberal housing minister, former mayor of Vancouver, comes to us with an already broken record of sky-high prices and surging homelessness. So why should Canadians trust him to do the job?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I will caution the members opposite to be insulting local government officials who are here in Ottawa this week to partner with the federal government.
Very good point.
The only way that we get housing built in this country is with alignment with the provinces and territories, the local and Indigenous governments. We need to work in partnership and collaboration to deliver housing for Canadians that they can afford.
Honourable member for Richmond Hill South.
Mr. Speaker, according to new data, Ontario's homeowners are missing mortgage payments in record numbers. 90-day mortgage delinquency rate jumped 71% since last year. Wow. Canadians are facing 40-year inflation highs, lackluster housing supply, and skyrocketing mortgage rates. And what does the housing minister have to say? That prices don't need to come down. As Vancouver's mayor, he oversaw rent going up 50%, home prices up 179%, and homelessness up 40%. Can the Minister of Housing tell Canadians how many more families must fall behind before his government takes action and finally tables a budget?
The Honourable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the member opposite, we have real challenges with housing across this country, and we have to address the affordability. We also have to tackle the trade war that we face with the United States. The tariffs are having an impact on Canadians. They're impacting affordability, they are impacting our markets, and that's why I applaud the actions of our Prime Minister and our ministers in addressing the challenges we face with the U.S., growing the Canadian economy, and ending this trade war.
Member for Brampton Centre.
After years of delays, uncertainty, and economic damage, it's undeniable that Bill C-69, the No More Pipelines bill, has been an absolute failure for Canadians. Industry leaders, provinces, and Indigenous communities have repeatedly sounded the alarm over its complex, unpredictable regulatory process that chases away investment and blocks development. Now that the Supreme Court has confirmed that key parts of this legislation are unconstitutional, will the Liberal government finally admit it got this wrong and scrap Bill C-69 and take real action to get Canadians back to work?
Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. So who got up?
Mr. Speaker, in trade wars, we must capitalize on every competitive advantage we have. This means working with provinces, territories, Indigenous peoples, and proponents to make Canada an energy superpower. We will fast-track projects, cut red tape, and approve projects in the national interest within 2 years. These activities will build the strongest low-cost, low-risk, low-carbon economy in the G7.
Member for Brampton Centre. Brampton Centre. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, it's an honor to rise in this House for the first time representing the people of Brampton Centre. Campaign team and constituents for all of their love and support. Our constituents from across Canada sent us to Ottawa to deliver them real results. Can the President of the Treasury Board share with this House what we are doing to bring down the cost for Canadians?
To the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, I'm honored to work with the newly elected member for Brampton Centre to deliver results for our community and for all Canadians. Canadians elected a new government to take bold actions, and that's what we're doing with our first act. A tax cut for 22 million Canadians, new sports for first-time home buyers, and by removing the consumer carbon price. This new government is taking decisive actions to make life more affordable for Canadians and to build Canada strong.
The honourable member for Calgary-Crowfoot.
When this government was first elected in 2015, they killed 16 major resource projects and chased $176 billion out of the Canadian economy. This resulted in lost jobs, thousands of lost jobs in my city alone, and Bill C-69 continues to make it impossible to build the pipelines needed to unleash our resources and to restore our economic independence. Will the Prime Minister commit today to cancelling Justin Trudeau's No More Pipelines law, Bill C-69? Yes or no?
Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, I have been clear. We will support new pipelines if there is a national consensus in favor of them. We will honor with our country facing American tariffs, we must strengthen our energy and natural resources sector. There is no question energy is Canada's power. We will help build the strongest economy in the G7, create jobs for Canadians, and give the best cards to our negotiators at the negotiating table. Canada's new government will win this trade war.
The honourable member for Miramichi Grand Lake.
Mr. Speaker, Conservatives and Canadians know that if you pay more taxes to the government, the weather will not get better. Conservatives have been standing up for Canadians and against the carbon tax for more than a decade. This Prime Minister made a big splash in March when he told Canadians that he would axe the carbon tax. After the Conservatives pleaded for years, finally his government removed the consumer carbon tax. Now will the Prime Minister also repeal the industrial carbon tax so Canadian companies and industries can compete in the global economy? Yes or no, Mr. Prime Minister?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
That was an interesting question, and I'm going to actually disagree with all the premises of it. But if we actually care about industries, then we're going to look at what's actually costing them right now. And that's the tariffs that are coming from the United States. It's impacting their ability to do what they need to do. We are here standing up for Canada. We're here standing up for a strong economy. We know that that's what we need to do. That's what Canadians have to do, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
The Honourable Member for Bow River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says that half of Canada's oil needs to stay in the ground. And now he's backing that up with a production cap that the Parliamentary Budget Officer says will kill 54,000 jobs and gut $20 billion from our economy. This keep it in the ground agenda doesn't just kill paychecks, it makes us more dependent on foreign oil. It weakens our economy, punishes Alberta families and Saskatchewan families who build this country's energy sector. So I'll ask the Prime Minister a simple yes-no question. Will he scrap his job-killing production cap and finally let Canadians restore energy independence?
The Honourable Minister of Energy and Natural Resources.
Mr. Speaker, my goal is to get things built where there are proponents. Canada's new government will fast-track projects, cut red tape, and approve projects in the national interest within 2 years. We will make Canada strong and protect ourselves from American tariffs if we work together with Indigenous partners and our workers, but across party lines. I encourage my Conservative colleagues to join us in creating new jobs, building the strongest economy in the G7, and making Canada an energy superpower.
Honourable Member for Swift Current Grasslands Kindersley.
After 10 years of Liberal anti-energy policies, the devastation continues. There's already been hundreds of thousands of job losses in the industry, and thanks to the radical ministers on the front bench, their oil and gas production cap has another 54,000 jobs and over $20 billion on the chopping block. The Prime Minister campaigned on having a plan to get things built, yet he's already committed to not overturning the production cap. Is the Prime Minister's refusal to scrap the cap an admission that he supports this devastating policy?
Good question. The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, after seeing under the Conservative government nothing getting built, I think that we have some lessons to learn. What we learned is that you can't actually get results if you decide we're not going to do any environmental assessments, we're not going to be consulting with Indigenous peoples. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we build an effective, efficient assessment system that gets projects built. That's what we committed to do, and that is what we will do.
The Honourable Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister was chair of Brookfield, Brookfield registered $30 billion of investment funds in offshore tax havens in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands, all to avoid paying taxes in Canada. And now the Prime Minister refuses to come clean and disclose his assets to Canadians. Canadians deserve to know, does the Prime Minister have any financial holdings hidden away in offshore tax havens, yes or no?
Great job, Cooper. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Good question. Mr. Speaker, Canadians should feel very reassured that we have among the most stringent ethics requirements for public office holders in the world. The Prime Minister has not only complied with all of those requirements, but has proactively and preemptively filed all of the information that the Ethics Commissioner requires. Obviously, complying with the rules is something we will always do on this side of the House.
That's right.
Canadians can bank on that.
Hear, hear. Honourable Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has been anything but transparent, hiding behind a loophole in Canada's ethics laws to hide his assets from Canadians. And it really begs the question, why? Is it because Mr. Elbows Up himself is dodging paying taxes? Is that why?
Good question.
Good question. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know that evoking conspiracy theories is going to advance the case of the Conservative Party. What I would say is, to repeat one more time, that Canadians should feel very reassured by the fact that we have among the most stringent ethics guidelines in the world, and the Prime Minister has not only met those requirements, but exceeded them.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Échemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, recently in Lévis, nearly 10,000 people sought food assistance, which is twice as many as in 2021. Now, there are full-time workers who can no longer put food on the table. Meanwhile, the Liberal government promises to cut spending in the morning. Then, in the afternoon, it goes ahead and increases spending by 8%. There may be a new face in the Prime Minister's office, but the same bad habits remain. Does the Prime Minister realize that his out-of-control spending is fueling inflation and forcing even more Canadians to line up at food banks, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for her question. We are all concerned about this situation in the country. That's why, Mr. Speaker, the first measure our government presented was one for affordability, so that about 20 million Canadians across the country could pay less in taxes, Mr. Speaker. The best way for Canadians to be able to keep their income, Mr. Speaker, the best way is for them to pay less in taxes. That is just one way we're helping Canadians, and we will continue to help Canadians. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Échemins-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, who's profiting? Not Canadians, but external firms, consultants. There are 10,000 people in my riding lining up at food banks. Can we at least have the decency to table a budget this spring, Mr. Speaker? The Honourable Minister of Industry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, currently our goal is to help those who are struggling to make ends meet. That's why we cut taxes. That's why we cut taxes for the middle class. We are also cutting the GST for those who are buying their first property. And as my colleague knows full well, we are currently in the middle of a tariff war. We are fighting to create jobs, to protect jobs that are currently under threat. And we are also here to invest to build the strongest economy in the G7. The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I congratulate you on the speakership. This is my first time rising in the House as member for Beauport-Limoilou. I thank my constituents for placing their trust in me. Voters called for change which will allow them to keep more money in their pockets. Can the minister explain what this government will do to make life more affordable for Quebecers and for all Canadians?
L'honorable ministre de la Transformation.
The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the people of Louis Hébert. Thank them for voting for me. I also thank the people of Beauport-Limoilou for giving us a third Liberal voice in the Quebec area. This will make us even better at defending their interests. We've already taken action with a tax cut for 22 million Canadians, savings of up to $840 for a family of four. We are delivering. We're taking action to have a stronger economy and country.
Nicolas. Mr. Speaker, this government is not serious when it comes to public safety. We recently learned that terrorist-related charges were up 488%. Wow. If you thought that this statistics and the problem that goes with it would be reported in the speech from the throne, you'd be wrong. Why is this government so unserious about a matter that impacts all Canadians?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And it's pretty obvious that my friend opposite didn't hear the speech from the throne, because we have some very significant measures to address issues of security. New threats to our safety are emerging each and every day. Canada's intelligence, security, and law enforcement agencies have robust measures in place to monitor and take action to address them, from listing terrorist entities to investigating and prosecuting those who seek to cause us harm. Mr. Speaker, our government will always be there to protect Canadians.
The honourable member for Kamloops, Thompson Nicola.
This government will always be there to protect Canadians. Mr. Speaker, let's move to Exhibit 2. The case of Randall Hopley. This person kidnapped a 3-year-old child. He served a lengthy jail sentence. He was released into the community in 2023. Shortly thereafter, he was at large for 10 days with his photo being plastered everywhere. He was released again this week, and he didn't even last a day in the community. If this government is so committed to going after sex offenders, to protecting Canadians, will they repeal this legislation?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, when we speak about crime and safety and security, it's important that we have the facts right. The case in question is a matter that was a matter of a statutory release, which is in law. And I invite my friend again to ensure that. It is statutory.
Hear the honourable member. I can't hear the honourable member. Could he repeat that?
Mr. Speaker, we cannot conflate issues of statutory release to bail. And we will ensure that as this is a matter that's before the Correctional Services Canada, we will work with them to ensure that they have the right measures in place. But I can assure everyone in this House that this is a matter of law, that it...
The honourable member for Hamilton East, Stony Creek.
Mr. Speaker, I have news from my riding of Hamilton East, Stony Creek. Yesterday, a Hamilton City bus was caught in the crossfire of a shooting. This comes just weeks after an innocent young lady tragically lost her life by a stray bullet on Upper James simply by waiting for the bus. Crime is out of control, and this status quo is unacceptable. When will the Prime Minister repeal Liberal C5 and Bill C75 so we can bring back safety to the streets of Hamilton and Canada?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to sympathize with the family of the innocent bystander. Her family lives in my riding, and I've met with them. This issue is close to home for me and is one I'm committed to in my position. I know the Prime Minister is committed to it. We are going to make changes. This new government is committed to making sure that we hold criminals accountable and we make our streets safer. And we're going to do the work that's necessary, making stricter bail penalties, stricter sentences, and all the work that we need to do across.
The honourable member for St. Catharines.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians expect our government to keep our borders secure. A strong border leads to safe streets. Can the Minister of Public Safety provide this House with an update on the implementation of Canada's $1.3 billion border plan?
Minister of Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me just begin by congratulating my friend from St. Catharines on his re-election. Our border is strong, and through our border plan, the single largest investment in our border in Canadian history, we're making it even stronger, Mr. Speaker. We have eyes on the border 24/7 with more officers, drones, Black Hawk helicopters, and sensors. Our plan is working. Earlier this year, we seized more than 46 kilograms of fentanyl, 122 firearms, 33 stolen cars, over $800,000 in cash, and arrested 524 criminals, Mr. Speaker. Canadians elected this government to keep our borders safe, and that is exactly what we'll do.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are worried about their economic future. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister continues to spread doubt about his own financial interests. He was with Brookfield, a business that has assets in many tax havens, which leads us to have a lot of questions. Canadians want to know whether the Prime Minister still has hidden financial assets and interests in tax havens. Will he be totally transparent in disclosing his past and present financial assets? Yes or no? The Honourable Government House Leader. A warm welcome to my colleague from Beauce, who will learn, like all other new members in this place, that there are rules. We have a code of ethics which must be respected. That's non-negotiable. The Prime Minister proactively met and even exceeded the rules of the code of ethics. I hope the member across the way, just like the Prime Minister, will follow the Code of Ethics.
Mr. Speaker, due to the escalating climate crisis, Manitobans are being uprooted from their communities by raging wildfires. The Premier has ordered a province-wide emergency as 17,000 people in northern communities and First Nations have fled their homes. Many are being evacuated to Winnipeg Centre, where countless people already suffer with housing insecurity and unmet mental health needs. Will this government act to ensure all communities impacted by the fires receive the health and housing resources they need so that they can live in dignity?
Great question.
Which minister is this? Oh, the Honourable Minister of Emergency Management. Go ahead.
Mr. Speaker, I rise for the first time in this House. Our hearts go out to all of the communities who are affected by wildfires from coast to coast to coast. Last night, the Prime Minister and I received a request from the province of Manitoba seeking airlift evacuation support for 2 northwestern Manitoba First Nations communities, and of course we immediately agreed to that support. There are a number of communities affected by wildfire.
The Honourable Member for Nunavut.
A little faster. Just not realize she gets it.
Indigenous peoples must be given free, prior, and informed consent for projects developed in their territories. Last Parliament, I addressed this concern in my private member's bill. The throne speech highlighted one project, one review, and ignores UNDRIP. The Prime Minister plans to make Canada an energy superpower. No wonder the AFN is concerned. Will the Minister reverse his colonial approach, or will Indigenous people's rights be violated?
Hello, the Minister of is it Crown Indigenous Relations? Indigenous Services.
Crown Indigenous Relations.
Crown Indigenous Relations. Thank you. Sorry about.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We face a major challenge that requires united efforts to advance nation-building projects, making Canada's economy stronger and one of the fastest growing in the G7. The Crown, including provinces and territories, must consult with Indigenous peoples to support Indigenous self-determination. This partnership fulfills legal duties and advances reconciliation. While we won't comment on provincial matters, we remain committed to collaborating with all to build a stronger Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
And that ends question period today.
Okay, I'm going to keep watching. There's a couple things that they talk about after.
And it's time for
it's
time for the famous Thursday statement.
Thursday statements. Okay.
The opposition deputy House Leader has a question for the government House Leader.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor for me to rise today for the traditional Thursday question. The most highly anticipated moment of the entire week by Canadians, who, of course, are all watching today. First of all, I'd like to thank the citizens of Mégantic-L'Érable, for having re-elected me and given me the honor of being...
Oh, what's going on here?
And it's time for... It's time for the famous third...
Refresh this, sorry. Sometimes the House stream does that.
And I certainly wouldn't want my new colleagues to lose the wonderful opportunity to hear the Thursday question. This is a very important moment of the week. As I said, I've committed to represent the people of Mégantic-L'Érable, and on behalf of all of my constituents who are having a hard time paying for their mortgage or childcare, I'd like to ask what we're going to be working on. So they're planning to table they would like to see a budget be tabled, and that's particularly important because after all of the great rhetoric that we heard in the speech from the throne, actually the same thing that we're seeing here is what we've seen under Justin Trudeau. The Liberal leader said that he would get to work very, very quickly with an ambitious agenda. So can he tell us when parliamentary committees will start meeting, when we will have the first sitting of the Proc committee? As a sign of goodwill, Mr. Speaker, I want to reassure the leader that we are ready to fully work with them. We can debate the budget tomorrow, the next day, as long as they want. The Honourable Leader of Government House Leader, rather. Mr. Speaker, the Thursday question seems to have taken on grand ambitions after the election. Perhaps it would be nice to have an editor make the Thursday statement a little bit more concise for my honourable friend. I would like to recognize his constituents and also my constituents in Gatineau, as well as all of my fellow representatives from Quebec. I think they can all be reassured that our new government has a grand vision and a strong plan for economic growth and jobs in Canada. We will also be creating a plan to accelerate major projects. Of course, that will take time in respect of our democratic procedures. First of all, we need to debate the speech that was given by His Majesty Charles III. That's what we will be doing over the coming days. And to be more specific, I will say that I'm very happy to answer this question. Today, we will be pursuing our debate on the address in reply to the speech from the throne and a vote on the sub-amendment from the honourable member from Belleuil-Chambly, another Quebec representative. That will be voted on tonight. And the amendment from the Leader of the Official Opposition will be voted on Monday.
With the third appointed day of the address debate, the fourth, fifth, and sixth appointed days will be scheduled for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Furthermore, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to the special order adopted on Tuesday, May 27th, 2025, I would like to designate Thursday, June 5th, Monday, June 9th, Tuesday, June 10th, and Wednesday, June 11th for consideration of the estimates in Committee of the Whole. As you see, Mr. Speaker, these and many other very important parliamentary initiatives will be rolling out according to the rules in due course, and I look forward to exchanging with my honourable colleagues on all of them.
The Government House Leader, and at this point I wish to inform the House that the volume of earpieces will now be reset, and we go back to orders of the day. The member of sorry, getting ahead of myself doing his job.
Orders of the day, resuming debate on the address and reply to the speech from the throne and on the sub-amendment of Mr. Blanchet.
And the honourable member for Victoria had 3 minutes remaining in his speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a coastal community, we in Victoria are surrounded by the evidence of climate change. Rising sea levels, intensifying storms, smoke-choked skies, and forests devoured by wildfires. We live it, we breathe it. We see the damage mounting with every passing season. As I speak, the province of Manitoba is under a state of emergency, and I extend my sympathies to the people being evacuated from their homes and to their representatives in this House. Tomorrow, it could be anywhere. The climate crisis is not a future threat. It is a present reality. It is costing us more than just our natural spaces. It is taking our livelihoods, our health, and if we fail to act, our children's future. I am proud to stand with a Liberal government that understands what is at stake. That's why we are acting with urgency and ambition. We will draw on the wisdom of Indigenous knowledge, the strength of modern technology, and the power of a united Canada to protect more lands, more waters, and more of the natural infrastructure that sustains us. We have an opportunity to lead the world in sustainable economic growth and to leave our children a country not only worth inheriting, but worth celebrating. Canada truly has the power to be the strongest economy in the G7. By investing in our resources, our skills, and our people, we can show economic leadership in sustainable ways. Canada is an energy superpower, which is clear to those of us in the West as Canadian oil moves through the Trans Mountain Pipeline and goes to market on tankers that sail past my riding every day. In fact, under the Liberal government, Alberta oil output is at record levels while maintaining some of the highest standards for oil production in the world. Malgré le discours de l'opposition,
I hate when they say that we
Despite
could be
the
the strongest
opposition's
economy
speech,
in the G7.
this government is
That means
taking
we'd have to
Canadian jobs
surpass the United
seriously.
States.
We are supporting
27
jobs
trillion
today
versus 2.
while preparing our
Do you know
economy
the amount of growth
for the
we'd have to
energy
have
system
to
of the
surpass
future.
Scaling up clean technology
GDP
and
of the
renewable
USA?
energy projects and building the national west-to-east infrastructure to support them. Our platform is clear, Mr. Speaker. A prosperous future must also be a sustainable one. But sustainable growth isn't just about GDP or emissions targets. It's about ensuring that no community is left behind. In Victoria, the toxic opioid crisis has pushed entire blocks of our downtown core, like Pandora Avenue, to the brink. A vibrant part of our city has been hollowed out by a national drug crisis that continues to take lives and dignity at a staggering pace. People in the grip of addiction are dying in plain sight, some beyond the reach of help, others begging for it. This isn't just a housing crisis, Mr. Speaker. It is a drug crisis, a mental health crisis, and a call to action for improved national coordination. We must offer real solutions that restore safety and dignity, both for those living on the streets and for the communities around them. That, too, is what economic leadership looks like. Mr. Speaker, as a proud son of Canada's university, it's an honor to address this House.
I'm sorry, we're out of time. Questions and comments. The honourable member for Mission Matsqui Abbotsford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the member from Victoria, congratulations on your first speech in the House of Commons. As a fellow British Columbian,
Been away for a while, but through the chair.
Through you, Mr. Speaker, congratulations to the member from Victoria. As the member from Victoria knows, my riding of Mission Matsqui Abbotsford suffered one of the most devastating natural disasters in the history of Canada. Our major roadways were washed out. Sumas Prairie, the breadbasket of British Columbia, was flooded. It was turmoil. Since that natural disaster, the federal government hasn't come forward with any additional infrastructure dollars for Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley. Would the member agree that to support British Columbia's breadbasket, British Columbian food security, British Columbia's ability to transfer goods throughout all of Asia, that Abbotsford, the Fraser Valley, need additional infrastructure dollars to protect Canadian supply chains? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Victoria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to the honourable member for his question. The impacts that Abbotsford experienced from extreme weather events and natural disasters shows the vulnerability of British Columbian communities and communities from coast to coast to coast to the effects of climate change. The natural disasters and climate-related impacts in the year 2021 alone cost British Columbia between 3 and 5% of our GDP. That is exactly why we cannot afford not to take action on climate change, and why this government is committed to continuing to invest in critical infrastructure and adaptation that will prevent such disasters in future.
Yeah, because the carbon tax is going to stop wildfires.
The honourable member
Like,
for Berthier-Masquinongé.
It's
Thank you very much,
it's
Mr.
such
Speaker.
a brain-dead thing
We'll
to
take
say.
advantage of this first sitting week to say that I want to sincerely thank the people of Berthier-Masquinongé, who not only elected me for a third time, but gave me a third term with, in fact, a very strong majority. So thank you. I hope that I'll live up to their expectations. I would like my colleague to answer the next very simple question. You know, in a family, before you spend, generally you make a budget. And so I'm wondering if he does the same thing, and if he can ask his Liberal friends why the public finances are being presented before they've even made a budget for spending. The honourable member for Victoria.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to thank my honourable colleague.
Like all countries, is not quite the same as a family. We are a Canadian family, but government finances look a little bit different. And so we will be seeing the government introduce a budget in the fall, and we look forward to being able to address the members' concerns then.
The honourable member for
What is it? Sherwood? No, London Centre.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations, of course, on your election as chair. I look forward to working with you. The honourable member is a new member, and I thank him for his speech. I know that any number of us in this House of Commons have identified priorities that we wish to deliver to our communities. He comes from a beautiful part of the country in Victoria. I would ask him, what is his number one priority that he wishes to deliver for his riding in the coming years? Thank you very much.
The honourable member for Victoria.
Asking Liberals questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and to my honourable colleague. The priorities that I have been sent here to Ottawa to advocate for from my community are very clear. As a community, we have deep concerns about the state of critical infrastructure across Victoria and across the South Island. We need to invest in infrastructure that will make us more resilient in the face of climate impacts and extreme weather events, but also the kind of infrastructure that will help us to actually reduce our emissions. Infrastructure like more dense and sustainable housing, built with Canadian materials, public transit so that people can get to work without driving their vehicles. That's how we're going to tackle climate change every day.
The honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan. A brief question, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We hear a lot of this talking point about the strongest economy in the G7. The reality is that over 14% youth unemployment is really killing opportunities for young people. We're headed into a summer without summer jobs for so many. The lack of private sector job growth is killing opportunity for the next generation. In that context, why can't this government offer a budget which shows what they're going to do to reverse their failures on youth unemployment?
Hear, hear.
A brief response, please, from the member for Victoria.
Speaker, and to the honourable member for his question, there is no doubt about the impact that the trade war that has been thrust upon us by the United States is having on Canada's economy. That is why the government is focused on ensuring and strengthening our domestic economy so that we can provide employment to all Canadians, including young Canadians.
Resuming debate, the honourable member for Thornhill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, congratulations on taking that seat. I hope that you bring back dignity and honor to that office, and I know that you will.
Yeah,
and I'd like to just start off by saying that I'm splitting my time with the member from Battle River Crowfoot, somebody who I have known to be a great colleague and a friend. I think we're going to miss him around here. And I told him when he's made the decision that he's about to tell you, I called him a mensch, and I told him that he can look that up. And I just want to say thank you to him and Danielle and the entire family for what he's going to do and putting his country first. I also want to thank the people of Thornhill for entrusting me for a second time in taking their seat here in the House of Commons. The first time around, I had the people of Thornhill take a chance on a relatively unknown quantity, filling the shoes of a long-time Conservative MP and former cabinet minister. And the second victory feels a bit more profound because I think that the people of Thornhill have entrusted me with this honor to serve them because of the work that we've done, because of the advocacy that we've done, because of what the team and this party have promised to Canadians. And we've done that with the biggest mandate in the riding's history of any MP. And I am so proud. I am so proud and honored always to have this seat. And it doesn't go, none of this is done on your own. I'd like to thank all of the staff and the volunteers, not only leading up to the election and the election campaign, but for the years before, traveling the country from riding to riding, for all of those who helped, who came in the snow, who came in the rain, who stuffed envelopes and banged in signs and went door to door, talking to everyday Canadians about the issues that matter to them. Thank you to my family, both blood and the ones that you acquire in this journey. Everybody knows that politics is a family business, and I have the best family in the business. They are the ones that are honest with you, The ones that tell you that you're not eating enough, or that a slushie is not considered lunch, or that you look tired, or that jacket doesn't match. The very ones who tell you to go a little bit more, one more event, one more door, talk to one more person, and the ones who also know when it's time to go home because that's better for you. Thank you to all of them. Thank you to my partner who is lax in all of the things that I miss. The dinners and the birthdays of family members, the celebrations that normal people with normal jobs get to do much more often than we do. She has never once put that ahead of what we do for the people of Thornhill. Look, when I ran the first time, I didn't have my mom with me, and I'm part of a club that not a lot of people or not a lot of people my age are part of. I'm part of the Orphan Club, where I've lost both my parents. I lost my father between the first and second election, and he was here for my first election. And I often tell their story because it's the embodiment, I think, of a story that so many share in this country. You see, I come by the conservatism honestly, and I often tell people that I'm a product of a mixed marriage. My mom was a Liberal, and my father was a Conservative. But my mom always said she didn't leave the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party left her, and boy, is that ever true today. She left a long time ago and supported me throughout my journey to elected politics. But I say that because they are the embodiment of the Canadian story, the Canadian immigrant story. They immigrated here from the former Soviet Union. And my dad was an uncredentialed engineer who drove a taxi to put my mom through school. They put two kids through university, who watched them get jobs and homes. I also tell a joke that my parents bought their first home in the place that I now represent for like 7 raspberries and 12 almonds. And they did that on a taxi driver's salary and through a woman who was still in school trying to make it in the corporate world. They did that in a safe neighborhood where they can raise kids the way that they wanted to, in the freedom of this country, the freedom that they ran from the Soviet Union to attain. You can't do that anymore. You can't do any of that. And that's what I heard every single day at every single door in more than 40 ridings across the country, from east to west, that young people cannot afford a home. That if you came here and you drove a taxi, it's probably an Uber today. There is no way that you can buy a home in the suburbs, raise 2 kids, send them through university. There's no way that today somebody with my last name whose father was a cab driver can go from the front seat of a taxi to the front row of Parliament Hill in 1 generation. That dream is absolutely dead in this country. Which brings me to a government who was a big part of killing that dream. Over the last 10 years, you see the same ministers. There's like 13 of the same ministers in the front bench. It feels a bit deja vu. Yeah. Saying the exact same things, except for some of the new things that they're saying, which they borrowed from the Conservative platform, which I invite them to borrow more and go all the way. Not these half measures that you're seeing with a GST cut that doesn't go far enough and only includes first-time home buyers, or a tax cut that is about half of the one that we promise, which isn't going to stand up when you have a $5,000 mortgage to pay. I say, if you're going to take our ideas, go all the way with them. But which brings me to the speech from the throne, which is an exact regurgitation of what you heard on a campaign, except for without detail. There's no detail. There's no meat on the bones of any of this. It's a lot of grand, lofty statements about what's going to happen and what we are going to do. I mean, this is coming from a prime minister who said a plan is better than no plan, and he was the man with a plan, and we don't see that right now. And I suspect that we're not going to see that because this government and the 13 ministers that were still there, with some of the new ones that now fill that second row, that's what they do. It's a government of lofty statements, and it's the exact reason that when you knock on doors, affordability, crime, immigration, was the #1 thing that people talked about in so many different regions. An immigration system which had a consensus in this country for a generation. But let me talk about what the throne speech didn't say, because I would be remiss to say it. I would be remiss if I didn't say it. I come from a community where people in the community are terrified of living in this country. It's not that they feel scared. They are actually in danger. Yes. This government has been absolutely silent on Jews in this country, the ones that were shot at, harassed, businesses being firebombed. Like, we've seen it. Lawless mobs in the streets screaming genocidal slogans at their fellow Canadians. And if you're in the faculty clubs of our universities, or frankly, if you're in the halls of this place or even close to it, or the Liberal Party, I actually didn't think it would be worse than the last foreign minister, but we have a new foreign minister that, whether she knows it or not, is parroting Hamas talking points. And that very same terrorist organization that is listed as a terrorist organization in this country has thanked this country for their position for a second time now. And if you are thanked for a second time by a terrorist organization, I think we all know that you're probably on the wrong side of history. So I don't know if you need to be... thanked for a third time to actually get it, but we've gone from free Palestine to full-blown extremism in this country, just as long as it targets Jews who look a bit too complicit for comfort. Forget nuance and forget humanity. If you squint hard enough, anyone with a Hebrew name or an Israeli cousin is now a war criminal in this country. That's what they've allowed to happen in our streets. And I would have liked to see something in the throne speech. And I know that there are many constituents in many different ridings, and maybe they don't make up the majority of the constituents in those ridings. But if anybody is scared to live in this country, to walk the streets, to wear a yarmulke, to wear a Star of David, to put a mezuzah on the door, if anybody is scared to walk into a synagogue, if anybody is scared to walk into a church because there is official Ottawa who said the church burnings are understandable and say nothing about the Hindu temples that are desecrated in this country, this is not a country. I hope the Prime Minister is successful, because we can't go on like this.
Questions and comments? The honourable member for Winnipeg North.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I disagree with many of the things that the member opposite has said.
Oh,
you know, at the end of the day, as a Liberal member of Parliament, and I believe within the very heart of the Liberal caucus, you will see an appreciation of Canada's diversity, which is second to no other caucus. We understand the true value of what diversity can do for Canada, Mr. Speaker, not only for today, but for tomorrow. So when the Prime Minister talks about looking for opportunities that go beyond the relationship between Canada and the United States, we can look at other countries, whether it was from talking about India to Africa to Philippines and so forth. Using that diversity, we can build a stronger and healthier country. And I would challenge the member to be as bold to say and to make the attempt to recognize the important role that diversity plays in our society today.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
I'm not sure that was a question, and perhaps it was a comment, but it is more platitudes from this government that talks about diversity. They talk a strong game about diversity. But when it comes to the actual protection of minorities, for the lawlessness that is in the streets, and not just in the Jewish community, and not just against Christian churches, and not just against Hindu temples, they are nowhere to be found. The same repeat violent offenders, the same mobs of people covering their faces are the ones that rule the streets, and they have been silent about it. So perhaps he can tell the Prime Minister that this is actually a problem, since the Prime Minister has come back to Canada, and he can advise him on doing something rather than saying nothing, or in the case when they do say something, that it is not parroting the talking points of a terrorist organization.
The honourable député.
The honourable member for Shefford. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for the question.
I'm waiting for Damien
At the beginning
to...
of her speech, she
I thought
talked about
he's gonna be stepping
housing,
down.
which is a concern
That's
to
what
many
Landsman said.
people currently, given the situation, the difficulty accessing property and finding housing. But in the throne speech, what we saw was the Liberal government's desire to transform itself into a developer at the expense of Quebec and the province's jurisdiction and the municipalities. So my question is, could this be a Conservative Party influence, because the Conservatives had the same desire to deal directly with the municipalities on housing, bypassing the provinces? So basically, that's bypassing Quebec and provincial jurisdiction. The honourable member for Thornhill.
To the de-accelerator funding or whatever the last scheme of the Liberal government was in terms of giving municipalities more money in order to block more home building. It's the exact opposite of what we have said. When I talked about home ownership in the speech, I talked about it as an aspiration that so many in this country have, and the blocking of it from governments right across the board, municipal, federal, provincial, who don't see the value in actually getting home built. In fact, we have a housing minister whose record in Vancouver was to have housing prices rise 180%. Right. Who is now building a bureaucracy rather than building homes, who is married to the generational divide that the Liberals have caused in this last election between those who own their home and those aspiring to get one. That is not the right course of action, and Conservatives will stand ready to make sure that we bring the solutions to the floor of this House of Commons and they take more of our ideas on it.
Honourable member for Sherwood Park, Fort Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the member for her powerful words about anti-Semitism. My grandmother was a Holocaust survivor, and I remember growing up and hearing some of the stories she would share with us about her experiences. And it is very dark to see some of the things that have happened in this country and other Western countries around the world. I did want to ask the member about youth unemployment, the rise we're seeing, and what she's seeing in particular in her riding in terms of the unemployment crisis that's going right now.
Great question.
Seconds.
Speaker, I would be the first one to tell you that I don't want to talk about anti-Semitism in this House or ever in this country, and I don't think anybody should ever have to. But the fact that they don't leads me to use this seat and speak for my community. With regards to youth unemployment, look, I think the data is very clear. We're seeing the highest youth unemployment in Ontario. We're seeing the highest unemployment rates in Ontario, and that's
Oh, come on. Give her a bit more time.
Yeah. I'm now prepared to propose for the ratification of the House a candidate for the position of Assistant Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chair of Committees of the Whole. Pursuant to Standing Order 8, I propose Ms. Mendez for the position of Assistant Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chair of Committees of the Whole. The motion is deemed moved and seconded. Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion? Carried.
Mendez? Isn't she one of the Liberal...
I'm now prepared to propose for the ratification of the House a candidate for the position of Assistant Deputy Speaker and Assistant Deputy Chair of Committees of the Whole. Pursuant to Standing Order 8, I propose Mr. Nater for the position of Assistant Deputy Speaker and Assistant Deputy Chair of Committees of the Whole. The motion is deemed moved and seconded.
Nice.
Is it the pleasure of the House to adopt the motion?
She was the Deputy
Carried.
Speaker last time, and so is he.
Resume debate. Resuming debate. The honourable member for Battle River.
She was rarely ever. She wasn't there as much, but I don't know. Whenever you saw her, I didn't think she had much to deal with. Like, the House was usually empty.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and it is an honour to rise in my place and deliver what will be my farewell speech in this Parliament. Now, Mr. Speaker, for now, as I offer my seat, I will, at the earliest opportunity, resign my seat to trigger a by-election. But let me start by first sharing a few thank yous. Mr. Speaker, it is an honor to serve in this place. Being elected for the third time to represent the people of Battle River Crowfoot truly is an honor. And for anyone who has had the opportunity to sit in this place, it truly is being able to serve your communities is something that is a profound honor and something that I hope each and every one of you, all 342 of you, take very, very seriously that responsibility. Mr. Speaker, it is, one never gets here by themselves. I am so thankful for a team that has supported me since I first put my name forward to run in a nomination in 2019, and for the 3 elections since, an incredible team. Grassroots conservative supporters that believe in common sense and believe in the things that we believe as a party, not simply because it's an election, but because that's the foundational things that they know our country needs and know what is best. Those are the grassroots people that I am so proud to call my teammates, and of course the team. And of course the team that help us, our staff that do the hard work, that help make us look good, whether it's in this place or in the communities in which we serve. But Mr. Speaker, I have the deepest thank you that goes to a woman that's sitting in the front row, and I hope you give me latitude to acknowledge that here today, since it's my farewell speech. But to my wife, Danielle, you know, it's one person's name on the ballot and on the election sign. But sweetheart, it's a team sport. And for Danielle, I cannot thank you enough for the support and love through what has been a wild ride. And I know, Mr. Speaker, I didn't know it would be quite so much work to resign, but I know the work continues. And Mr. Speaker, for my boys who have not seen their dad as much over the last number of years, I certainly am looking forward to being able to spend some more time with Matthew, Emerson, and Winston, those 3 boys that Danielle and I are so very proud of. And
true patriot right here, true patriot.
And Mr. Speaker, we get into politics for a reason. And when I first put my name forward to run in 2019, there is things that you stand for and believe in. Things like putting Canada first no matter what the circumstances. Things like ensuring that you are always going to put your country first when it comes to the deliberations in this place, when it comes to your actions. And Mr. Speaker, that is why I am so proud to stand with Danielle and stand with my family and offer my seat, to offer to resign my seat to Pierre Poilievre, the leader of Canada's Conservatives, because that man, I truly believe, is the right man to lead this party, to be the leader of the opposition in this Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, my belief before and my belief remains today that Pierre Poilievre is the right man to be Prime Minister of Canada.
Hear, hear.
And Mr. Speaker, I would ask the people who overwhelmingly put their trust in me in Battle River Crowfoot. I was honored to receive more than 80% of the vote. An incredible, I think, affirmation of not just myself, Mr. Speaker, because politics should never be about oneself, unlike what so many of the Liberals make it about. Politics needs to be about doing what's best for your country. So for the people of Battle River Crowfoot, you put your trust in me. I have a simple request to all of you. I would ask that you trust me as I ask you in this upcoming by-election to put your trust in Pierre Poilievre and elect him as the Member of Parliament for Battle River Crowfoot for the remainder of this Parliament, as he will fight for you in rural East Central Alberta, and as he fights to represent Canadians, the common sense vision that so many Canadians, in fact, many Canadians put their trust in for the first time in this election. More than 8 million Canadians voted Conservative in this last election. More than 41% of the population voted Conservative in the last election. So to the people of Battle River Crowfoot, you trusted me. I'm asking you to trust me once again as I ask you to support Pierre Poilievre as he runs in an upcoming by-election in Battle River Crowfoot.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, our country faces significant challenges. Significant challenges that require real action and a real plan. We face a national unity crisis. It is not something that can simply be flippantly dismissed by those in other parts of the country that would suggest that Alberta, for example, should simply pay up and shut up. No, I'm sorry. That is not what Alberta should do. Alberta deserves a fair voice in the Federation, just like every province. I heard earlier as a new colleague from Newfoundland had a similar sentiment. I've heard the same thing as I've spoken with colleagues from every region of our country. There is challenges that our nation faces, and it deserves more than platitudes and a decade of the same failed ideology that got us into the disastrous position we find ourselves in now. And Mr. Speaker, as this is a debate on the throne speech, as I listened to the throne speech, it was an interesting mix of things because you had a co-opting of some of our ideas for political benefit, but at the very root of it, you see that the Liberals are simply the same old ideologues that we have seen for the last decade that have eroded trust in our institutions, that have held back our economy, that have shut down our resources, that have told Canadians that their voices, their freedoms, and who they are as people doesn't matter. So, Mr. Speaker, as I shared this decision, this offer a number of weeks ago, and as over the last number of weeks spoken with Canadians from coast to coast to coast about this, I see so clearly how the vision that Conservatives brought forward with leader Pierre Poilievre in the last election proposes the solutions that truly our country needs. And Mr. Speaker, as I stand here to offer my farewell address, I look to a Conservative team. In fact, I had said earlier that it's incredible. I look back to the class of 2019, and the class of 2025 is pretty incredible. There's a depth of talent in this team that we should and can be proud of. But, Mr. Speaker, I know this team will do incredible things. And I look forward to being able to champion the cause from outside the House in the interim. And I do to my constituents, the many of whom who have asked whether or not this is me retiring from politics. And the simple answer is no, I don't plan to retire from politics. But I am stepping aside to ensure, thank you, to ensure that this by-election gets triggered. But, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude my remarks, I would simply say this, to conclude where I started with a note of thanks, a note of reflection, and a note of humility. One is driven by things in one's life. There's things in their heart that drive them. You know, I think of my faith, the fact that Jesus is my Lord and Savior, the fact that there is foundational beliefs that were taught to me by my dad, my mom, and family members, my grandparents, my grandpas who aren't with me any longer. That there is so much that we have to be proud of in this country. So, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude and as Danielle and I move on to what is a bit of an unexpected chapter of our lives, I would ask each and every person in this House, fight for Canada, fight for what's right, and do so boldly and strongly, because that's the least we can do for the people that send us here. Thank you.
I'd like to say that I had the pleasure of sitting on Environment Committee with the member, and he always displayed honesty and goodwill, and that didn't keep him from keeping the chair on his toes. As a matter of fact, it led him to make efforts to keep the
the chair on his toes. Questions and comments. The honourable member from Courtenay, Alberni.
Speaker, Mr. Speaker, first, it's an honour to rise today, and I know my colleague is leaving, and we sure had our differences in this place. We had some pretty heated debates over the years and couldn't have more different politics, except that we do share that we're both from rural communities, Mr. Speaker. And I admired his passion, and my former colleague from Malahat Couch and Alistair McGregor, I can say his name. We sat pretty close to him in earshot, and we had some good laughs, but we would refer to him as Hockey Dad because he had such passion when he spoke in the House on issues. But one thing he is a hockey dad, and he's getting to spend some time with his 3 kids, and he's going to be home with his family. But I do want to pass on my condolences to my colleague who lost his father in the last year, and I know he's going to take on the farm, and he's going to do well with it, and we wish him well as a farmer, supporting Canadians so we get our food and the work that he does around his farm. And I do, on behalf of all New Democrats, we want to wish him well, his family, and I want to thank him for his service in this House.
Nothing but class.
The honourable member for, did I see Saanich Gulf? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, are you okay if you wish?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the member for the very kind words. And I think it emphasizes that in this place we can trade passionate partisan barbs. We can passionately disagree, but that doesn't mean that there's hatred toward each other. It's our job to passionately defend the people that sent us here, Absolutely. The ideas of that drive the very core of who we are. And as a rural Canadian, I'm very, very proud to have been that voice for rural East Central Alberta over the last 5.5 years. And while I'm stepping back now, I can assure those people that I will do everything I can to ensure that Pierre Poilievre here is given the support he needs if he has the honor of being able to sit in the chair of Battle River Crowfoot. But let me simply conclude with this. All of us in this place, I think with humility and grace and passion, can represent well our constituents. And I hope that that's a lesson that I can impart to all of you as I vacate this seat and offer it up for a by-election in the near future.
Hear, hear.
See if I could get as many members in as possible. So that's why I went to the honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands. If we, again, we are under time constraints, but I want to give many a chance to pay homage to the member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hadn't intended to give a Caesar-like speech. We're not burying him, and I'm tempted, of course, as ever, to praise him because we're friends. And the honourable member for Battle River Crowfoot, I don't think will be gone long from this place. And I don't know if the official residence at Stornoway is now found within the borders of Battle River Crowfoot, but I'm sure that all things will be revealed, and I hope that the member for Battle River Crowfoot will be back here. I just wanted to ask him very briefly, because it's my first time to take the floor today at all, was to say that the honourable member for Calgary Centre pointed out how many conservative ideas are in this speech from the throne. And I think it could have been a speech from the throne from a conservative government. I wonder if the member for Battle River Crowfoot would be tempted to vote for it.
You know, that's a kind of a brief answer, I guess, because I do want to I do want to allow the member from King Hants to speak to the member.
Let me simply say this. My colleagues' remarks, and especially our work in the National Prayer Breakfast together, has always been something that I've appreciated. But let me tell you, in the interim, Mr. Speaker, I look forward to being able to spend a little bit more time in a tractor cab. Yeah. And the one thing about being in a tractor cab, Mr. Speaker, is it doesn't heckle you. But like government, it requires maintenance, it requires fuel, it requires everything that is required, direction. And if you don't take care of it, Mr. Speaker, it breaks down, and you have to call the mechanic. And you know who I think the best mechanic to fix our country is? Well, my friends, his name is Pierre Poilievre.
The honourable member for King Hants. King's Hants.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'm going to continue what the member from Courtenay Alberni started with, which is offering congratulations and a level of gratitude to the member for his service in this place. Of course, this being his resignation speech. I think about the way in which my former colleague Scott Bryson stepped aside for Joe Clark to run for a seat as a leader at that time. I have great respect for, of course, my predecessor, Mr. Bryson. I have great respect from the member from Battleford Crowfoot. This House will remember that big booming voice when he comes in on debates. Some of us will perhaps be thankful that he's not going to be bringing that big voice and with all the ability to hold the government to account, but I know others will probably miss it. But I do want to say to the member who represents a rural constituency, I represent a rural constituency. We may not always see every issue the same, but I know he has been a great champion for rural Canada. I wish him all the best, and again, I suspect we may see him back in this place in due course. So to the honourable member, congratulations and all the best in the days ahead.
The honourable member. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the kind words. And I would simply say as to how long it is before I once again run to represent the people of Battle River Crowfoot, well, I leave that to the people who will remain in this place on confidence votes coming forward. But certainly, Mr. Speaker, when it comes down to it, we fight for what we believe is right. And it's been an honor to serve the people of Battle River Crowfoot in this place for the last 5.5 years. I count it an honor to be able to serve them in this way as I step aside temporarily to trigger a by-election. And Mr. Speaker, let me assure you and everyone else who may miss my voice and the volume and tenor that sometimes comes along with it, if you listen carefully in the coming months, you may just hear me still during question period from Alberta, heckling the Prime Minister and other Liberals that deserve it, quite frankly, I would suggest. But Mr. Speaker, as this is my last words in this place, it has been an honor. So from Danielle and myself, may God bless all of you. May God bless Canada, and let's keep working to not just put Canada first as a slogan, but truly put Canada first, for that's what I believe our country needs, deserves, and together we can do.
Honourable member for Regina.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to join in this debate. And the member from Battle River Crowfoot and I actually have a long history together. We both started as members of the Saskatchewan Party caucus office working in research together. I was elected in 2011. Then this honourable member took my job as the director of research in the Saskatchewan Party caucus office. And then I decided to make the trip to Ottawa, and I was very happy that my friend followed up to Ottawa. And I guarantee you, Mr. Speaker, that this is not going to be the last time I have the honor of working with this very, very honourable man. And I can't wait for him to come back to the House in the next election so we can work together once again. And to your lovely family and your boys, you're a great dad, an awesome husband. I'm proud of you, bud. I can't wait to see you in 2 or 3 years.
L'honorable député de Gaspésie.
The honourable member for Gaspésie, les Îles de la Madeleine. Listigouche. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I didn't have the opportunity to get to know my colleague from Battle River Crowfoot, but I would like to salute him for his decision, which must not have been an easy decision, and I would like to highlight the fact that he seems to be a great team player. Now, in his speech, my colleague spoke about the challenges that are facing Canada when it comes to national unity, and I'd like to give him the opportunity before he leaves to give his feelings regarding the separatist sentiments that seem to be growing in Alberta. What would he say to his fellow citizens from Alberta who would want to give Alberta its full power so that it can govern itself and reach its full potential?
Battle River Crowfoot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And look, I believe that there are things that are, and I appreciate the kind words. Truly, it's a humbling thing to hear your colleagues and both Conservative colleagues and the fact that while I may be one of the more partisan voices in this place. And Mr. Speaker, like I told one of your predecessors, my constituency and electors elected me to be that way and expect that. But Mr. Speaker, it's humbling to hear from other members in this place from all parties about how, regardless of political differences, regardless of where we are from our country, we can fight for Canada. We can fight for what we believe is right. So again, Mr. Speaker, I thought my previous words would be my last, but I appreciate this opportunity. I would just simply say to put on the record again to Danielle, my boys, Matthew, Emerson, and Winston, the rest of my family who have stood guard, including my dad, who is no longer with us. I cannot express my gratitude to those who have stood, and I think about those who to think that as a farm kid from rural Alberta, without any real political background outside of I liked politics. Outside of the fact that I watched question period as a kid instead of doing my math homework. Mr. Speaker, the fact that somebody like myself could end up in this place is a testament to what democracy, I believe, should be. So Danielle, Matthew, Emerson, and Winston, and there's so many others that have helped make this dream come true for me and have supported Danielle and I and our family in the midst of this. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of our heart. I plan to be back, God willing, but in the meantime, I look forward to being the best husband, the best dad, and the best rural farmer that I can possibly be, and I hope to have some fun in the process. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
And we wish the member the very best for his upcoming endeavors, and we will now go back to debate, resuming debate. The honourable member for Surrey Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I start my...
Okay, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to catch Damien there because, yeah, true patriot, man, true class. That's what we need more of, people in politics that are, you know, trying to do the best for the country and not just, you know, there for the paycheck and whatever. So yeah, I'm calling it for this live stream. I probably won't be live tomorrow for question period just because Fridays are always they're just always empty. There's maybe like 5 MPs that show up. It's basically just Kevin yelling the whole entire time. And yeah, I mean, it might be for the first question period of, you know, the first Friday's question period of 2025. There might actually be more than 5 MPs there, but it's still not going to be any front benchers. It's going to be all backbench people. So yeah. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate the super chat by Woody. Jan Cora joined the Coffee Support Club, so appreciate that. Thank you so much. And definitely be live next week. Hopefully we get committees started up soon. I'm really looking forward to some committees. I know they have to still kind of do some housekeeping with the clerk needs to organize it, and then within 10 days the committees will actually meet, form a chair, things like that. So yeah, I will see you guys. If I don't see you guys tomorrow, I'll definitely see you guys on Monday, and I'm going to go and get some clips out on the channel and things like that. I'll probably be doing clips on the weekend as well, so always check to make sure you're looking at the channel. The top playlist there that says Stay Informed in May is all up-to-date content. So also, if you missed Carney in the Parliament this morning, he had a good debate with MP Lanceman. He only stayed in the Parliament for maybe 20 minutes. He did a 15-minute speech and then took questions for a couple of minutes and then left. That was around 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time this morning. Just logged in and it's over. Yeah, sorry you missed it. You can always tune back, though. You can always scroll back and check to see some stuff that we had going on here. But, yeah. Everybody have a great weekend. If I don't see you tomorrow, I will see you Monday. So, thanks.